Hi there again, my fellow wayfarers. Today I'm gonna tell you all about my real first Camino day, where I would be walking 25 kilometers over the Pyrenees. And mind you, I'm someone who didn't even reach 17 kilometers a day in a flat country. So that would be fun. Yeah, really, I don't see the issue. Do you? Now, without joking, I barely made it. Yeah. Now, if you watched my previous video, you would know already that I met a father and a daughter from the Netherlands who are already hikers at heart and an Italian guy. We were staying at the same albergue and we had so much fun together already on the eve before departing on the Camino for real. We decided we would start and walk together, and honestly, I was so grateful for that, because in hindsight, it's thanks to them that I made it to Roncesvalles. So, thank you if you are watching this. So the next morning, we had a little breakfast, took a group photo together, and started our Camino. Within the first half hour, I was already sweating from places I didn't even know I could sweat from. From then on, the feeling of a stream from my torso to my belly would be a regular reminder every day to keep drinking enough water. Soon enough, the road became steep and the father and daughter got further ahead. The Italian man stayed with me, although he lived in mountains himself and he was also an experienced hiker. Sometimes I couldn't even talk anymore because of the effort I had to make to keep walking uphill, if you could still even say it was walking. After a while, we got to a safe point if this would be a game. It was a restaurant where you could also sleep. We ate a snack, took a drink, bought our lunch there, and up we went again. The view was becoming more and more unbelievable. Did we already climb that high? We would be going even higher. There were horses and cattle grazing and birds of prey flying in the distance. One even flew over us. The heaps of stones is typical for the Camino. You even see them where you don't expect them. They represent, for example, the burdens we carry with us, and we let them go along the way. The biggest and most important of them all is the Cruz de Ferro, but that is after Roncesvalles, but before Ponferrada. If you've seen the movie The Way with Martin Sheen, you know what I mean. Around this time, I had my first difficult moment, and it wouldn't be the only one. I'm glad that I could let so much stuff go and leave it there for the Camino to transform it into beneficial energy. When we got to the point where a guy with his van full of drinks and snacks was, he was already packing up. So don't start too late and don't be as slow as me. Luckily for me, he still wanted to take my money and to give me a fruit juice. What also stood out were the people who walked in the opposite direction and how few people there were in general. The father told us that he wanted to turn back after a certain point and also walk the Camino and over the Pyrenees in reverse. Hoe zot, as I would say in Dutch. Pretty crazy if you ask me. I already found it hard enough to walk in one direction, let alone another time in the other one. When you cross a border between France and Spain, you will not notice it, as there is no sign of a border. Or maybe I was blind, that is also not impossible. A bit further from there is a fountain, and not just any fountain, it's the Fountain of Roland. In my book, I will tell more about its historical importance. For now, in this video, it's good enough to know you need to take a picture of it, and preferably with you in it. After a few more kilometers, you will see a refuge cabin for when you are too tired or you get caught in some bad weather. Around that point, I lost all contact with the Italian and the father and the daughter, so I walked alone until the end. Fortunately, from there on, it's not so far away anymore to the Abbey of Roncesvalles. On one of the last ascents, I picked up some shiny stones to take with me to the Cruz de Ferro. Another thing that you will notice is the crosses and stones with names on them. Those are for the people who died there on the road to Santiago. It made me sad, but also grateful for life every time. It also humbled me, and I paid my respects mentally to those who lost their lives. Why there are so much deaths on the Camino is another thing I include in my book. Finally, I got to the point where you can see the abbey down below and where the lady of the pilgrim office told me not to go one way but the other. I saw the two roads, but the photo on the paper didn't match reality much and I was left confused. Yeah, for me it needs to be exactly the same and really clear, and it wasn't. So yeah. After many minutes of comparing and trying to choose the right path, I just went to the right instead of straight forward. That was also the right one, it seemed later on. I thought I saw the father and daughter further downhill, so I ran in my enthusiasm. Shouldn't have done that. My knees began to hurt after that, and going down became painful and slow. At ground level, I saw people around a church-like building and was so happy to see people again that I began to cry. But when I got there, everybody was gone, so I cried even more. Yes, I have abandoning issues, and yes, still working on them. What I did next to calm myself down and what I learned from that is another extra in my book that I'm still writing, so you'll have to wait until it's finished, and I got it translated to English. Right before the abbey, you stand eye in eye with a few cows. But don't worry, they just ignore you, so just ignore them too, or take a picture of them. When I finally set foot in the abbey, I can't even describe what I felt, but I can still feel the pain in my knees and in my feet like it was yesterday. I couldn't walk or stand anymore. What surprised me the most was that seconds after I arrived, the Italian got to me like he just arrived there too, but that wasn't the case. After the necessary shower, we went to eat in the restaurant next to the abbey, because the dinner rooms in the abbey were closed due to COVID. We had a pilgrim menu for €10 or something like that, and that included a starter, a main course and a dessert. With water and wine! How much better than that can it get? Of course, we needed to get back to the abbey and go to sleep, and from the moment I got up, I knew something was not right. By the point we were outside of the restaurant and walking to the abbey again, I wasn't walking, but stumbling. My knees hurt like hell, and that would go on until I got to Pamplona and could buy hiking sticks for support. They would still hurt after that, but from then on, they could heal and they got better, day after day. Thankfully, I also got a special homemade cream from a friend for stuff like this, and the next morning I would feel the difference. But that is for the next video. Thank you for watching and listening to the first real episode of my Camino story. Buen camino! Dit is iets wat ik heel graag zie op deze moment. Ik ben er bijna. Oh my god. Het werd tijd. Ik ben echt kapot. Mijn knieën doen pijn, mijn voeten doen pijn, mijn benen doen pijn. Oh. Nog even. Kom maar, Jessie. Ik kan deze.